A completely full recap of Season 2 Squid Games. Episode 1 of Squid Games Season 2 starts with Gi-hun, also known as Player 456, at the airport. The frontman warns that he has nowhere to go and he'll regret this. But 456 does not care. He immediately races off to Seoul, picking up a blade in the process. Turns out there's actually a tracker in the back of his ear explaining how the front man knew he wasn't leaving. Meanwhile, detectives searching for his missing brother, Jun-ho, is actually still alive. Turns out that he was picked off the coastline by a boat captain whom he's now befriended and works with to try to track down the island. So far, his search has been futile. Still, we're getting ahead of ourselves here for now. He wakes up in a hospital and faintly whispers his name in the brother of his brother, In-ho. We then cut forward 2 years later where we see Hwang Jun-ho is still working. He's recently left the Major Crimes Division, and unfortunately all the evidence that he gained was for nothing. His phone is gone, and there's no evidence of the Squid Games, the VIPs, or anything else. If Jun-ho wants to put his brother away, he may need to return to the game once more. Meanwhile, Gi-hun is holding out in a motel. He's paranoid and suffering from bad nightmares after the games. He's desperate to find the recruiter and even has called a gangster called Mr. Kim and his associate Woo Seok scour the subway for him. After 2 years, there has been no sign of the guy. Gi-hun, 456, is not giving up and believes that they need to expand their search. He wants more men, and of course, given money isn't an issue. 456 happily pays. In fact, he even offers out $1 billion reward for finding him, which is ironic given how Gi-hun is using money and this way was given what he went through. The thugs went back to work and launched a huge operation, getting everybody they can on it to find the recruiter. The search eventually bears fruit, and both Mr. Kim and Woo Seok find him at the subway station playing Deodakshi. Mr. Kim himself finds him on the other side of the subway after gaining a location, they follow him. The recruiters show up at a homeless park where he guides numerous people into choosing between a bread roll or a lottery ticket. Most pick the ticket, and as a result, he destroys the remaining rolls in front of them. While Gi-hun races to the station, he's pulled over by traffic cops who issue him a ticket. And one of the officers, is Jun-ho, the detective. Of course, they crossed paths in the games and soon finds the motel Gi-hun is staying at. Meanwhile, Gi-hun finds Mr. Kim and Woo Seok knocked out in the alleyway, thanks to the recruiter getting the jump on them. Turns out he has them both tied up and kept hostage. Unfortunately, he plays a sadistic game of rock, paper, scissors -1. The loser, they have to play Russian roulette, and unfortunately, Mr. Kim ends up killed as a result. Woo Seok spills all, which brings the recruiter over to Jin-hun's pad. Jin-hun, 456, wants to send a message to his superiors, believing that the recruiter does not understand, nor would he. Given that what he's been through, however, the recruiter reveals his story, including how he was faced with an impossible choice, his family or his job. The recruiter had to kill his own dad, but 456 is having none of it. He bitterly retorts how horrific the games were. The recruiter smirks and decides they should play a game, Russian roulette. However, neither are aware that 456 is outside. No, Jun-ho is outside. Still, the games take place, and eventually the recruiter loses. He smirks before shooting himself. Season 1, Episode 2 of Squid Games begins at the motel with a gunshot booming outside too. Gi-hun grabs the card from the recruiter's jacket just as Jun-ho shows up and sees what happens. Ho-seok shows up too and rants about loyalty while Ji-hun checks over the card he has given. On the paper are the words Club HDH and the time October 31st at midnight, Halloween. Jun-ho and Ji-hun catch up and exchange information while Ji-hun learning about the captain and the hierarchy of the games. Jun-ho, however, wants them to work together and find the VIPs. Well, with these two and Ho-seok joining together, Ji-hun intends to use the money to recruit an army and a ton of weapons to try to fight back once and for all. Here we also see a few other newcomers sprinkled into the story. One comes a form of Kang Neil. She's recently escaped from North Korea and is desperate to find her 1-year-old who is still left behind in her home country. She actually shot her superior and left, but the ride is dangerous, in which explains why she's here alone. The little money she has gained from working as an amusement park mascot, including sleeping in the parking lot, she has no home, seems to be futile. So, of course, she is the perfect candidate for the games. Kang Neil quits her job at the amusement park, but she is moved by a sick kid called Na Yeon. Being rushed to the hospital outside, she follows them to the ward, where she dropped off her knitted hat and holds her hand for a bit before leaving. As for Jun-ho, he speaks to his mom, who's torn up over In-ho's disappearance. The ripple of resentment running through her, given In-ho actually gave up once one of his kidneys to save Jun-ho, the detective. As a result, his mom indirectly blames him for it. Ji-hun gets a replacement tooth fixed with a tracker in the midst of it and recruits some gangsters to join Ho-seok, determined to head to the club on Halloween and all guns blazing. After struggling to talk to his daughter on the phone, Ji-hun, 456, fronts the group as they head in. However, Jun-ho, the detective, is waiting outside and notices some of the masked men with pink jumpsuits at the club. Unfortunately, the packed club is a perfect place for an ambush. And after one of them tasers Ho-seok knocks him out, Ji-hun is brought up to a limo outside, aka Ji-hun is 456, is brought up to a limo outside where the front man speaks through a gold piggy bank speaker. Ji-hun demands he stops the game completely, but of course his words fall on deaf ears. The front man simply sees it all as trash eliminating trash, quote unquote. Unbeknownst to Ji-hun, 456, the front man is actually in the front seats of the limo. Jo-hun doesn't get there in time, but he does have the men on him. Jun-ho is the detective. However, those in charge of the game are not stupid and have snipers up on the rooftops. They fire numerous shots at the cars and stop them, and of course the police are nowhere to be found. Realizing they only have one option left, Ji-hun asks to be put back in the games again. Speaking of the games, remember No-yul? Turns out she's been recruited not as a player, but she's actually been a foot soldiers, as one of the foot soldiers. As she dons an outfit from one of the 3 big trucks in an abandoned lot and prepares to play the games. I am sorry I can't do all of the reviews as the first 2 episodes, as the full reviews for the first 2 episodes have already taken me 10 minutes. I won't be able to do all of them, but I will definitely start doing them every day